Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order, welcome to her Panwo TV. And this is where I am, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just show you. I'm in this little alleyway down the back of a school in Oxford, and I'm actually going to the cinema. I'm going to do another of those movie review videos that I've done before. The ones where I film before I go to the cinema, and then I watch the film and I come out and I film afterwards. Oh, there's a birdie, some birdies there. The last time I did that, I think it was was it World War Z? That zombie apocalypse movie, I think it was. I went to see World War Z, this amazing zombie movie, as part of my general zombie research project, which that's still ongoing, by the way. But I'm just sort of like now going to see another film in a similar way, so I'm heading for the cinema right now. I'm going to the Kassam, it's called the Kassam Centre. Now what it is, Oxford United's football ground is there, which is called a Kassam Stadium, named after the team's owner, Feroz Kassam, who's a multi-millionaire or billionaire or something. Who's a very modest man, which is why he named the stadium after himself. It's a bit muddy here, but the thing about it is, it's not only Oxford United's ground. It's not only their football ground where they play. It's also like a business centre and a conference centre and thing you can hire. There's a hotel there, and there's like a place where there's like a cinema. There's this huge view cinema, a VUE cinema, and so I have to watch my step along here. So I've got to. It's just so muddy. There's a view cinema, and there's a bowling alley, and there's a restaurant and things like that. It's one of those sort of places. So it's known collectively as the Kassam. And I remember I used to have a girlfriend called Pauline. And she was Feroz Kassam's accounts manager. She was beautiful. She was absolutely gorgeous. I remember. It's quite a few years ago now. So I'm reminiscing again. Basically, I should stick to the current subject, which is the movie I'm going to go and see. I'm going to go and see a film called Collateral Beauty. And I saw the trailer of it the last time I was at the cinema seeing another movie. I can't remember what it was. I think it was, is that Arrival? Yeah, which I talked about in the last disclosure video. I went to see Arrival, and there was a trailer for this movie, and I thought, that looks good. Now, I'm kind of like, at this point, I mean, this is where I feel, I don't want to let you guys down, but at this point, I should include the trailer. I should, like, put the trailer to Collateral Beauty in this film. And so you could see the trailer, right, as part of this particular upload. But I know if I do that, I'm going to get a third-party strike. And this is what annoys me about YouTube. And it's happened to me before. I mean, I actually did this when I reviewed Parkland, the movie, in the same way I am now, as like a video thing. I got a third-party strike on it. And so look at the state of this ground. It's not improved much. It's a couple of years since I walked down this alleyway, but it's still muddy. And so I know what third-party strikes don't really mean much. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get a third-party strike. You know, it's not like a copyright violation as such. It's just what the automatic system spots. But I've just got really, really paranoid about these things since that business into 2015 with the Charles Holt thing. And I just think to myself, and also, I mean, there's when people don't like you, of course, they take out false copyright claims against you, and it's got nothing to do with copyright ownership. It's just the way they used to get at you. It's just like I've talked about this before on previous videos. Remember, after my Colonel Holt video was taken down, I did a series of report videos. Hello, pussycat. Hello. Oh. So I'm kind of like, it's a bit better, it's getting a bit better now. So I'm sort of like reluctant to... I used to live around here a long time ago. I used to live just up there. I used to live. So I'm reluctant to like put the trailer on. But then I thought to myself, well, maybe I shouldn't allow myself to be sort of browbeaten into not doing it. But then I thought, you know, it's not a big deal. I can just put a link in the description box per her Panwo TV tradition, and you guys can click that and watch the trailer. I'll put a link to the trailer, put a link to the IMDb page. Now, I've actually not watched any reviews of this, or read any reviews of this film. I think that's important. That's an important thing I always do when I go and see a movie in the cinema. I never read any reviews until after I've watched it. So that way I'm not unduly influenced, I'm not biased. Because reviews and critics are like, well, I did an article called the Critics, or the Critics, you know. You always get these things like, oh, the critics, what are the critics going to say about this? Oh, what kind of review has this had? There's people who read reviews and before they even go and see the movie themselves. And sometimes they say, oh, that movie's had some bad reviews, I'm not going to bother seeing that. So what? That means the critics are making up your mind for you. Who are these bloody critics anyway? Why should they tell you what to think? And there's this ridiculous phrase, defying the critics. This is what happens whenever a film which the critics have panned becomes very popular and people like it. The reports, oh, the public have defied the critics. And I think to myself, why? How naughty of them. Don't they realise that the critics have authority over their mental sovereignty? And it's crazy and it's ridiculous. What's this beard? Don't you think of the beard, by the way? I've got to grow it for another few days. 20th of January I'm going to shave it off. Trump's inauguration day. And I'll win my bet. But I've noticed actually the difference. It feels different, and especially in the cold. I mean, I notice like I used to like the cold. I don't feel the cold on my chin like I normally do in my mouth. So the beard does make a difference actually. So there's a possibility I might keep it. I'll have to see. Anyway, should I go that way? No, I'll go down this alleyway here. I'll carry on down the alleyway. So basically, I sod the critics. They don't tell me what to think. I decide what I think. So the critics can put up with that, I'm afraid. I'll read reviews afterwards, but it looks to me like some kind of moving drama with an element of the supernatural to it. That's what it looks like to me from the trailer. It looks like a kind of maybe a tearjerker or something like that. But it has this supernatural element to it, or this esoteric element to it. I'm not sure. I'll have to wait and see. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's got some good star-studded cast. There's Helen Mirren, the gorgeous Helen Mirren is in it. She's absolutely beautiful. I wonder if she'll get her kit off in this film. She gets her kit off in most of her films. Sorry, I mustn't think things like that, must I, Ben? That was naughty, Ben. Yeah, she's in it. And quite a few other famous people. Now, the star of the film is Will Smith, and I'm quite pleased about that. Will Smith is someone I have a mixture of positive and negative feelings about. Those magpies there. 2 for joy. 3. What's 3? What does that mean? 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. I don't know. I can't remember the rest. But anyway, and there they go. There they go. 3 of them playing around on the school ground. Anyway, Will Smith I have mixed feelings about, like I said. I'll start with the negative stuff first, because I mean the negative is just a small part, and it's just based on one thing which happened last year. He basically, Will Smith, he's a black man, and he decided to boycott the Oscars because there were no black people, no black actors or actresses received Oscars. So he spat his dummy out and threw his toys out of his pram and said, I'm not going. And I was very dismayed about that, because, you know, I'd like to ask Will, if he's watching, which he's probably not. Okay, so if you think there should be at least, say, a number of black people given Oscars, which of the white actors or white winners would you kick out into the street, rip their trophy from their hands, and say, you're not having this because you're white, get out, we need to give this to black people, some black people. Which of those winners would you select to have their award stripped from them, to have their Academy Award deleted from their accounts because they're white? Just see the problem. This is the problem. I've talked about this before. It's cultural Marxism. I think Will Smith has been affected by cultural Marxist mind control. I mean, if we're going to get to the point where they're going to have the Oscars or something else, and they're going to say, right, well, this guy's really good. I think he deserves the Oscar. He's the best actor. And someone else saying, yes, but he's white. We can't give it to him. And there's another guy here. He's black. We'll give it to him. Oh, but he's not as good. Yes, but he's black, so we have to give it to him. And do you see how unfair that is, Will? Do you see? You obviously perceive there's some injustice, and maybe you're correct. But you cannot fight. I mean, I know there's been injustice against black people, I know that. You cannot fight injustice by trying to cancel it out with another injustice. All you get is a double dose of injustice. And I said this when I spoke at Basis, at the Basis Project. I was talking about the BBC, and I think to do with that. So I think Will Smith was very silly there. I think that's a very childish and really ignorant thing that he did. And I think, like I said, he has been affected by cultural Marxist mind control and propaganda. I really wish that Martin Luther King was still alive. I think this world really needs somebody like that. But he's dead. Because Martin Luther King could cut through all this nonsense. All the Black Lives Matter and killing people and torturing kids and things like that. He could cut through it all. And he could neutralise it all with his wisdom. But he's dead. He died. And he died in a conspiracy. James Earl Ray was innocent. James Earl Ray was convicted of shooting him, but everyone knew he was innocent. Dr. King's family knew he was innocent. They attended his funeral. They arranged for him to have a retrial. They had a retrial in 1997. And when he died in jail. Martin Luther King's family went to the funeral to pay their respects. They knew he was innocent. Martin Luther King was killed by a government conspiracy, by a lone nutter, apparently, but it wasn't. It was a conspiracy. Just like Bobby Kennedy, just like John F. Kennedy, and don't get me started on all that. I'm going under a railway bridge now. But that's enough of the negative. Let's concentrate. I mean, let's focus on the positive, because despite Will Smith's misgivings about the Oscars, he himself has been nominated for 2 Oscars. He's been nominated for 4 Golden Globe Awards. He's a very accomplished actor, and he is actually one of my favourite actors. Now, I first came across Will Smith in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That is brilliant American sitcom where he's playing this young black guy, and he was really good. And American sitcoms tend not to be very good, which is why Americans tend to gravitate towards British sitcoms. They like things like Red Dwarf and Absolutely Fabulous. They're very popular in the United States. But this one was really good, I remember. And then he was in Independence Day. Well, nobody's perfect. This trains only go over here every so often. But yeah, this is a railway bridge in Oxford. The cinema's just down here. I don't know if I've shown you this pathway before. I might have done. Anyway, and Will Smith's been in a lot of other. He played Muhammad Ali in the film Ali. I think that's where he got one of his nominations. He's very good in that. And then he's very versatile as an actor, Will Smith. He can do like comedy. I mean, comedy was really his original forte, and he's best known originally for his excellent comedy performances. But he can do the heartfelt stuff too. He can do drama and tragedy. In that way, he's similar to Robin Williams in that sense, to have those dual abilities. And in I Am Legend, which is a story about a guy who survives a zombie apocalypse. He was really amazing in that, because he played this guy who's completely alone in the world after a zombie apocalypse. It's him and a dog, and when the dog dies, sorry, spoiler, I challenge anyone not to shed a tear. With what happens, the way Will Smith, his character, behaves when the dog dies. It's one of the most moving, tragic scenes I've ever seen. So I'm very, very hopeful for this, because I mean they've got themselves. This guy, Will Smith, plays the leading role in this film I'm about to see, and I'm very pleased about that, because I expect a lot from him. I really, really do. So you check out the trailer of it. I'm almost at the cinema now, and this is, oh my god, this has changed. What the hell has happened here? The last time I came down here there was a pub, and it's all flats now. That was only about 2 years ago, and it's gone. Oh my god. And there's this thing here. This thing was here 2 years ago, but those were not. Over there's the Oxford Science Park. I filmed here at night time before a couple of times actually, but I've not. I think it's the first time I filmed down here in the day. Or, oh, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, sometimes you Panwo TV viewers have a better memory of my uploads than I do. People correct me on things sometimes. They get in touch with me and say, Ben, you're wrong about that. You did this, you did not do that, and stuff like that. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this has totally changed. Oh no, is that the pub? I think that's the pub up ahead. Now, Ellis Taylor has talked a lot about this particular little pathway here. And this is part of an old Roman road. And Ellis says that this is actually, you can see esoteric beings and things like that. And ghosts and things. Which is interesting, because I'm going to be coming out of here later. It's going to be dark when I come out of here. So I'll have a bit of a spooky journey back up this little pathway later after the movie's finished. I'll have the camera on. So you just wait and see, and just see what we say. See what we see, eh? That'd be quite something, wouldn't it? Yeah. Now these are all new. This is all new. I don't remember that at all, any of this stuff. They haven't knocked down the pub. The pub's still there, but it's closed. Oh dear. What was it? I can't even remember what it was called. But it's shut. But you can see how old it is. You can see what an old building that is compared to this new thing here. Wow, it's shut. It's boarded up. And after how many centuries has that pub been open? And the bloody thing's boarded up. Oh, do you remember I did a video, I don't think it was here, I did it somewhere else. I did a video about pubs shutting down, really old pubs, local pubs, suburban pubs shutting down. I can't remember what the video was called, but I lamented the fact that so many old pubs were shutting down. It's so sad. It really is. It's a sign of the times, it really is. Oh dear. But I've had a beer in there. I have had a beer in there. And I'm glad it's still standing. And I just hope it reopens one day. And I can't remember what it was called. Oh, I met Jack in here once. This was the pub where I once met Jack, I remember. This is it, yeah. I mean, the second time I met him here. First time it was a different pub. Jack of the Antarctic, who died. But it was in this pub. I think, yeah, it was, I think, yeah. But I just can't remember what it was called. Oh no, I think, was that? No, I think that was sorry, it was a long time ago. It was over 10 years ago. I think that might have been a different pub, actually. I'm getting confused. Again, you guys can help me out here. Well, you can see here is the signpost of Kassam Stadium and the Science Park. And I don't know how I'm going to get there. I haven't got my bike. But, oh, it's not that far. I hope no one minds me walking. But there you see is Oxford United's Kassam Stadium. I have filmed here because I did that film about the video about, was it the UFO above the Fiorentina's ground? Do you remember the Stadio Artemio Franchi? That's it, Stadio Artemio Franchi. In the 1950s there was an incident where Fiorentina were playing and these UFOs came down in the middle of the match. And the referee blew his whistle and said, oh, I've got to stop, UFOs. Match postponed. Well, I don't know if they maybe carried on playing afterwards, but one of the fans remembered it, the guy who edits the fanzine, he remembered it. And so I did a little video here wondering what would happen if... I wonder, just imagine, just toying with the idea that something like that would happen here when when the U's are out playing. There's the bowling alley, you can see the little bowling thing there, and the cinema's just beyond it, and there's a sort of restaurant thing. Right here. The Ozone, is that what it's called now? But you can see this is the place I'm going. The Ozone. And there's a View, see View Cinemas, and all those other things. So I'm going to pop in there now, I'm going to watch the movie, and I will talk to you again when it's finished.
We're here to connect. Love, time, death. Now these three things connect every single human being on Earth. We long for love, we wish we had more time, and we fear death.
Did you lose a child, Howard?
Howard is a brilliant, creative, charismatic guy. He used to love life. Right now, he hates it.
I try to talk to him, I try to reach him, and he's not there. I miss him.
He writes letters.
Who are they to?
Howard doesn't write letters to people. He writes to things. Time, love, death.
Kids write letters to Santa Claus. It doesn't mean they're crazy.
No, this is therapeutic.
Who did you write the letter to?
I wrote the letter to death.
Nice to meet you. They're charmed, I'm sure.
Nope.
People write letters to the universe all the time. Most don't get a personal response, but you are.
I don't want this.
I'm time. I'm a gift, and you're wasting it.
You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm having conversations.
I am love.
Don't try and live without me, Howard.
I saw you in her eyes when she called me daddy, and you betrayed me.
I'm the reason for everything. If you can accept that, then maybe you get to live again.
He's reaching out to the cosmos for answers.
There's so much more at stake here than you even understand.
You've been given a gift. This profound connection to everything. Just look for it. I promise you, it's there. The Collateral Beauty.
Oh, there's the cinema. It's come out of the cinema. What's what? Curry with a cause. All right. It's dark now. There's the Sam Stadium. And there's the bowling alley. Hollywood Bar and Diner and the Hollywood Bowl.
I know, bless it.
Can't head for home. I know. Hollywood Bowl, right. Right, I'm just gonna cross over and get back to the alley. And I'll tell you about the movie. There's that Hampton hotel-y restaurant-y type place. Alright. And it's dark. And it's only about... What time is it? One moment, ladies and gentlemen. 6:30. Right, so that's winter time for you, I guess. All we need now is that thunder snow. Yeah, the film is over, and well, I'm recording, aren't I? Yeah. I'll try and tell you about it. I don't want to give too many spoilers, you see, but I can't promise to avoid spoilers altogether. So you might want to not watch this, but if you're the kind of person who can't cope with any spoilers, then, or reviews like I did, you know, don't read any reviews. So if I was in your position, I wouldn't watch the next part of this film, of this video I'm doing now, because I'm going to review the movie. Well, the movie is set in New York City, and this is interesting. Why is it so many films are set in New York City? Well, it's just a city. I mean, it's a big city, it's famous, but it's kind of the movies that make it famous, really. I mean, just think of the number of films you've seen that are set in that city, and I don't know why it is, why it's so special, New York. I mean, it's a cultural centre. For Americans, it's a kind of a cultural centre. That's where big publishing houses are based, and theatres and things. But I don't know why it has to be the setting for so many movies. Going back past the old pub now. That's a sad sight, isn't it? But anyway, Will Smith plays this chap called Howard, who is the head of a company, and he's suffering from prolonged grief. He essentially had a nervous breakdown because his 6-year-old daughter died. I try to avoid too many spoilers, alright, but you find out about his family background and things like that. It's funny because he's sort of like withdrawn from life. He's sort of like he's lost the will to live. And it is moving. It is sort of like a tearful film, and that's inevitable. It's that kind of film, and it's all about grief, because it turns out that the other characters also have similar stories to tell in a different way. One of them is a man whose wife broke up with him after he shagged around, so to speak, and his daughter can't forgive him for that. Another is a woman who played by Kate Winslet, and I think they've done her up a bit to make her look older, because Kate Winslet is only about 30 something, but she's been made up to look older. I think she's playing someone maybe 10 or so years older than she is. And then there's another young man who's these are all employees of Howard, and he finds out he's dying from cancer. He's battled it his whole life, and it's come back, and he can't fight it again. And the supernatural element, when I saw the trailer, the supernatural element that I thought, I'm sorry, I'm going to include the bloody trailer in this video. I can't live my life in fear of copyright Nazis and copyright attacks. It's a bloody movie trailer. It's meant to be distributed. It's not meant to be coveted. I mean, the filmmakers will want this trailers distributed as much as possible. That's the whole bloody point of trailers. So I'm going to put the trailer. I'm going to put the trailer in this film, and I'm going to. I'll take the third-party strike. I don't care. I can't sort of chicken out over this, and let the fear of any people get the better on me. So I'm going to include the trailer in this film. Probably do it before this segment when anyway, but it's funny about Howard, because like he's sort of withdrawn in on himself after his daughter died. And his daughter's only 6, and when she died, and he sort of spends his time basically in his flat, just hanging around. But he reads. He's got some books, and funny enough, he's got some books that I recognise and some that I've read, including Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls by Robert Newton, which is a great book about hypnotic mediumship. I do recommend those about the afterlife and things like that. So he's exploring this. He's exploring in his own time ideas about death and things like that. Going underneath the railway bridge again. You can't see it now because it's all dark. I don't know how much of you I can see. I don't know how much of me you can see. I'm not gonna go along the alleyways. It's too dark. I just got the main road. Sorry if it's noisy. And so he's exploring the idea about death, and his employees are also close friends. They're worried about the mismanagement of his company. I was going to say the woman played by Kate Winslet is she's single and childless, and she's really feeling very, very bad about that, like many women do, who maybe trade in the family for the career, like you're supposed to nowadays. And she wants to have a baby before it's too late, but she hasn't got a man in her life, so she's considering sperm donors. That's what I wanted to say about Kate Winslet's character. Edward Norton's character is the father, who's estranged from it. It's Edward Norton he's not a very well known actor, Edward Norton, but I think he's very good. He was in a great movie when he was younger called American History X. He was very good in that. That was excellent. This film is directed by someone called David Frankel. I've never heard of him before. So it's not a famous director. This movie doesn't have a famous director. It's not Steven Spielberg. You know, it's not kind of like George Lucas or anyone like that. Where do I go from here? I used to live around here. I should know. So I'm walking down this street now, and so Howard was withdrawn in on himself, the poor man, and he's just and he's losing his mind basically, and he writes these letters, as you saw in the trailer. He writes letters to things. He writes letters. He doesn't write letters to people. He writes letters to love, to time, and to death. And so the part that I thought was supernatural when I watched that trailer, these are the people who come up to him and say, "Hi, I'm Death, I'm Love," they are actors and actresses. Well, there's the young lad, he's Time, and then the old lady, played by Helen Mirren, is Death. And yet she remains fully clothed for the entire film. All right, bit of a disappointment. And then there's the other character, this young woman who plays Love. And I thought he was like interacting with kind of like supernatural beings. But this is the funny thing is, it's made very clear in the plot lines that these are actually actors and actresses that his friends employ to try and get inside his world. It's like another thing about Edward Norton's character, a chap called Whit. His mother has had a stroke, and she has delusions, and so instead of trying to, for a while, he tried to treat her by explaining to her that her delusions were fake. Like there's werewolves, like say, outside the house, and they're watching us and things like that. He tried to treat her that way to try and bring her back to reality by saying, "Look, there's no werewolves there, Mum." But then he decided to try a different method. He would actually enter her world, her reality. And so he said, "Oh yeah, Mum, the werewolves are there. I'm taping their conversations. We'll go to the police in the morning," that kind of thing. So that's what gave him the idea, that he could enter someone else's... If someone is losing touch with the reality we know, we can enter their reality. It's a very, very interesting idea about counselling and things like that, and psychology, that you don't get from your normal GP surgery or sort of psychiatric clinic. So this is how they decide to try and get through to their friend, because he's mismanaging the company. He spends his whole working day bringing dominoes to topple, domino stacks to topple, because that's what he used to do with his little girl. And it is a poignant story, you know. I don't want to give you too many. I don't want to give you spoilers, because there's a major twist at the end. There's a major plot twist which has really took me by surprise and really adds energy to the story. Because he eventually goes for bereavement counselling, and it's I'll say that much. But then yeah, well, I won't say any more about the twist at the end. But then there's this kind of sensation, there's this kind of moment when, again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's the supernatural element comes back in, and like just after I've kind of dismissed it and I've realised, oh, that was a mistake. I didn't think it was that. I don't think that spoiled the film. I don't think I would have not gone to see it had I known that there was no genuine supernatural element. But then in the end, the very last shot, actually, that's called into question, and that there may actually be a real supernatural side to it. It's almost like he meets up with these. It's almost like Charles Dickens in A Christmas Carol, where he meets the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas is yet to come. Howard is having communion with these beings that he believes are the embodiments of death, time, and love, and in the end he ends up interacting with them, and that's how he finds his way back out of his depression. But it's a poignant story. I don't know how much longer it's going to be in the cinema for, because it's been there for a while. I haven't had time to go to see it till now, but do go and see it if you can. Get the DVD when it comes out. I think I've got to go up here. Yeah. I can't believe I used to live around here. I'm just going to cross this road. Yeah, I live sort of like along here. And it's kind of like it sort of struck me a little bit, because it made me sort of like aware of strange things that have happened in my own life, and I mean, and I was going to stop filming for a moment. I'll get back to you in a sec. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a Slaxer noir now. I've actually come to the same place where I filmed my little reply to Slaxer's for Murney's vid. Of course, it's darkness now, it's night time, but I needed to be somewhere quiet to film the next part of this thing. I haven't got Zoom on, no, I haven't. I just need somewhere I could be a bit private, and well, for Slaxer that's easy because he's surrounded by woods, but Oxford is like a tiny little bit of woods surrounded by city. So I've come to this place again to record the next part of this video. You'll understand why in a minute when I explain. Will Smith, fantastic performance. As I said earlier, he can do tragedy very well. He can play someone in pain excellently. As I said, he's like Robin Williams. He's as versatile as Robin Williams in terms of the humour, in terms of tragedy. In this case, it's a tragedy. He's playing a tragic person who your heart really goes out to. He's a likeable chap, and he's kind of guy. Like I said, he's on one level what these three employees of his, these three friends, played by Edward Norton, Kate Winslet, and this other guy, the one who's got cancer. What they do on one level is very, very mean. It's very manipulative, and they're motivated. And it's a bit ambiguous because they love their friend, who's not just a boss, he's their friend, and they want to help him, but at the same time, the primary motive is also to expose him for being mentally ill and mentally incompetent to run the company, so that the board can actually sack him. So it's very ambiguous in that respect, and they feel very bad about it. But so they got these two sides to them, these three people who have their own problems, as I've explained, in their lives. The way they treat him, is it good or bad what they're doing to him? Is it charitable or cruel? Howard himself, as I say, he finds the way home eventually, back to his life. He gets his life back eventually, but it's difficult for him. But these individuals, these thespians who pretend to be death, love, and time, they help him. And I mean, it is very, very poignant, because they have the conversations that he has with these beings, which you see a little bit of snatch of it in the trailer. The actual conversations are quite brief, even in the full film. They're brief conversations, but they say so much. I mean, it is well written. The writer's a guy called somebody Loeb. I can't remember his name. Somebody Loeb, L-O-E-B. I can't remember the name of the scriptwriter. I did catch it in the credits. I always watch the film to the end, you know. I sit there through the credits when everyone's getting up and picking up their empty popcorn wrappers. I just sit there and I watch the film to the end of the credits. And the reason I'm saying, the thing about it is, I can sympathise. I can. I can sympathise because I've lost a child, and this is again something I haven't talked about. I seem to be bearing my soul a lot lately on this YouTube. Something that Slacks is very good at, and I'm pretty bad at. But Howard plays this man who's lost his 6-year-old daughter. I had a daughter too who was stillborn. She actually died 2 months before she was due to be born. So it was quite a late stillbirth. And we called her Alice. Me and Diane, Louisa's mother. And we buried her. She's got a grave. And yeah, and next Sunday week would have been her 23rd birthday. And I do wonder what she would have been like. And then Louisa came along. My daughter Louisa is going to turn 22 in March. So she's not a baby anymore, she's just a little kid. But some of the things that Howard said made me in the film. And you know, I've got to take my hat off to Will Smith. You know, not literally, it's too cold, but such a fine actor, really struck a chord with me, because I mean, any of you who've had kids will know this, but when your kids are born, it's like the feeling's indescribable. Your life is never the same again, and it's like, you know, and that feeling doesn't go away. Now, I always thought that my feelings for Louisa, my daughter, would change as she got older, and they don't. I mean, they do in a way, because you can't treat her as a baby anymore, you know, because she's not a baby. She's like a grown woman. You know, she's 21, about to turn 22. She's got a boyfriend of her own. She might be having her own kids soon, and I'll be a granddad. But oh, blimey, I'll have to grow this beard again and dye it white, won't I? But she's still my baby. She's still the same baby who I used to hold in my arms. I used to go to sleep, leaning her head on my shoulder. I used to want to used to walk along holding my hand, and holding her hand up like that because she was so little and I was so tall. And she used to walk along the street with me with a hand up like that, holding my hand. She's still that little baby, and that will never change. Not if I live to be 100, in which case she will be... if I live to be 100, she will be... she'll be 78, but she'll still be my little baby. And that never changed. See, I didn't expect that when I became a father. I didn't expect to feel that way. Slax's little girl's younger. Slax's little girl is 5, and I don't know how he feels, how it is with his child. But when she's older, Dave, you may feel the same way. When she's grown up, you may understand what I'm talking about. I split up from Louise's mother 9 months after she was born. No, sorry, 11 months after she was born. But I always, from the very moment I split up from Diane, I was determined to continue to be a good father to her, and I was. And and it's just so, I know, I mean, it's just so annoys me. I know blokes, right? I know some guys who have had like 3 different kids off 3 different women, and they don't give a shit about them. They don't even know they can't even remember their birthdays. They have nothing to do with them. And that's not only just despicable, I think, and a dereliction of your duty as a father, but it's incomprehensible. I suppose the thing about it is, I've been looking up a lot about K-type and R-type selection, and this is to do with biology. What it is, biologists classify animals in terms of reproduction into K-type and R-type animals. Now, R-type animals produce large numbers of offspring, and I should point out that K and R-type species exist in all the biological classes in one form or another, but R-type species produce large numbers of offspring, but don't really care if they don't play a parental role in the lives of their offspring. So, for instance, a frog is very much an R-type reproducer. It'll produce a huge number of eggs, which turn into tadpoles. But once the tadpoles don't really, once they're hatched, that's it. They're just forgotten about. And rabbits are R-type as well. They're mammals that are R-type. They produce large numbers of young, but they don't really play a parental role beyond the very, very basic. Things like that. Now, other animals are K-type. K-type selection is very different. Animals which are K-type species produce fewer young. They produce maybe just 1 or 2, sometimes 2, maybe 3 offspring in the course of their lives. Yet they look after those young very, very carefully. They play a parental role. They play the role of mother and father to them. And they nurture them. Now, humans are naturally K-type selected. We live in families, and we have small numbers of children, which we then take very good care out of during their upbringing. So, of course, during their entire lives, in most cases. And now, you never stop caring for your kids. In the film Parenthood, with Steve Martin, there's a amazing scene where he's talking. It's all about Parenthood is a good movie, actually. It's a Ron Howard film. It's quite funny. It's a comedy, but it's got like this serious and also quite poignant side to it. His own father, Steve Martin. So he's a father of 3 kids, and his father says, "Look, it never ends. You know, being a father is a job you'll do for the rest of your life." You know, he says, I'm now 68, and and your younger brother is now 32, but I'm still his dad. I've still got to look after him. That's what it means to be a K-type selected creature, and humans are naturally K-type selected. The problem is that the manipulation, the New World Order manipulation, our psychological warfare attack on us, the biological attacks on us, seem to be turning us more and more into R-type creatures. which is unnatural. And it's not just, I'm not just having a go at the blokes I know. I know women who've had children, and as soon as the first opportunity they get, they kick the father out of the house, and they refuse to let him see the kid, or they do everything they can to try and stop him seeing the kid, which is a crime. It's a form of child abuse. And the reason is, well, there's all kinds of reasons for it, but it's got a lot to do with the fact that the state will pay massive amounts of money to women who do that to their fathers, to their partners. You know, you kick your husband out, you're set out for life. The state will pay you more money than he could, and things like that. It's all very mercenary, and it's nasty. But that's what society's turning us into. And I'd say to those women, I'd say, for God's sake, don't do it, because you are going to ruin. It's going to really harm the child psychologically, and they're never going to forget, and they're never going to forgive you. Luckily, the law is now changing so that, as the Fathers for Justice group says, justice is coming. You know, meaning fathers will have the right to access their children more and more. But there is still, it's the state. The state is still saying, you know, the state wants to take over as mother and father. That's the thing. And turn us into R-type creatures who just produce young, which then the state looks after. You see, it's unnatural. Anyway, am I getting off topic? No. This is all about my own child. I don't understand these guys who have 3 kids by 3 different women and then just forget about the kids. It's beyond me. Especially when I've lost a child, I know. I mean, if one of these blokes, if one of their children died, would they give a shit? I don't know. I doubt it. They certainly, well, if they did, they'd feel enormous regret for what they'd missed. And Louisa, my daughter, this little baby of mine, who's now is like, well, she's now that tall on me, and I couldn't ever hold her in my arms. She squashed me. She couldn't sit on my lap. She's too heavy. I don't know if I should talk about this, but it's been something that's been on my mind for a long time, and I can't get it out of my head. See, it all resurfaced a couple of days ago, because, well, actually, what was it? It was last week sometime. I had a nightmare in which Louisa died, and I was actually could see her dead body lying there in a coffin or something, and I was standing there, and when I woke up, I've never been so relieved to say, oh, that was just a dream. I tried to phone her up and she wouldn't answer her phone. So I just texted her a message on Facebook saying, are you okay? And she texts back immediately, yes, why? If you want to reach Louisa, you have to reach her on Facebook now. That shows that's what the kids are like. Kids? That's what young people are like today. That's how you get hold of them. But it all resurfaced because ever since Louisa was born, obviously I was very, very protective of her because of losing Alice. I was exceptionally protective of her. Overprotective, perhaps. She thinks I was overprotective. But she always watches The Lion King too, and she always says, oh, you're like Simba, and I'm like Kiara, because Simba's like this overprotective lion in this Disney cartoon film. But it just, ever since she was born, I've had the awful feeling, an inexplicable feeling, an inkling that I will outlive her. I'm going to outlive my own daughter, my only surviving daughter. She'll die before I do. And there's no reason for that. There's no reason to think that. She's perfectly healthy. She doesn't do stupid, dangerous things. Well, at least no more than any young person does. You can't wrap them in cotton wool. I found out, But she goes to rock concerts and things like that, and I say, "You okay?" And I check how she's okay afterwards and things like that. But I just can't get it out of my head. This feeling that I'm going to outlive her. And I've had it since she was born. I've been terrified that I'm going to lose her. Terrified. And I thought it would go away. I mean, I thought, because as she grew and she got older, she grew from a baby to a young girl, from a young girl to a teenager, from a teenager to an adult. I thought it would go away. I thought I would get over it. I would lose this fear. But I haven't. Every so often it comes back. Just build this fence. Every so often it comes back, this feeling that I'm going to outlive my own daughter, and it's not natural. A father shouldn't bury his own daughter. It's not natural. What I want is for her to grow up and live a long, healthy life, and at one point have to say goodbye to me when we're both, well, I'm old and she's sort of middle-aged. That's what I want to happen. I'll give anything for that. Losing Alice was not only the worst thing that's ever happened to me, it's the worst thing that ever could happen to me. And I'd love to be wrong on this. I'd love to just say it's just my paranoia, but I can't get this feeling out of my head. This inkling, this premonition, and it's just so. It does sometimes emerge, and watching that film made me think of it. Watching that film sort of brought it home, made me think, well, yeah, you know, life is so precious. Some of the things that the character Howard was saying to these beings, and I'm saying it's so strange, these beings who were actors and actresses playing time, death and love, but his friends made them believe he was seeing something supernatural. His friends made him believe he was having hallucinations. His so-called friends or enemies, whatever they are. And at the end, in the last scene, especially the last shot, it's almost as if you're given a hint that might actually be true, and they are somehow supernatural beings, that's supernatural apparitions, which doesn't make sense when you consider that the rest of the film. It's almost as if the filmmakers actually decided to change the plot at a certain point. Yet they didn't edit the film properly. That's what it feels like. So basically this movie made me think about, it gave me a mortality awareness. And I mean, I have a mortality awareness from my service in the hospital portering. You can't pretend the facts of life don't exist when you're a hospital porter. You're faced with it every day. You're faced with illness, you're faced with injury of the most horrific kinds, and you're faced with death because people die, and you see it all the time. And it's, you know, that happens to everybody. And for a while I was actually a delivery suite porter, and I had to deal with babies, you know, as well, which I shouldn't have done. I mean, I was in that department when we lost Alice, and I went back to that department. I was given the option to be deployed elsewhere, and I should have taken it. But I went back into delivery suite for another 6 years, and I really shouldn't have done that. I should have been deployed elsewhere. The head porter offered me I was on compassionate leave. He offered me a place. He said, you don't have to go back to DS delivery suite. You can go and serve somewhere else. You can serve on general side. And I should have taken him up on that. I really should have done. God, I should have done. Anyway, now I've seen the film, I can read the reviews, and I'm just wondering what the critics, they who must be obeyed, are saying about Collateral Beauty. Okay, well, let's start with entertainment. Right, so Collateral Beauty slammed by critics. Oh, that's a shame. There's actually an interview, video interview with Will Smith, and he talks about how he lost his own father just a month before production began, so he was suffering from grief at the time. He was actually undergoing this, and undergoing this shooting when he's being filmed, playing this character. But apparently, critics called it horrifyingly yucky. Its all-star cast suffers from actor abuse, and Rotten Tomatoes only gave it 12%. Oh, God, bloody hell! Wow, well, that's a good start, isn't it? Right, let's move on to the Daily Tory. What's this got? What they got to say for themselves? Collateral Beauty review. Will Smith's turkey feast is like a Christmas Carol retold by David Icke. Oh, 1 star. God, this is by Robbie Collin, film critic. Some bad films announce their badness modestly. Collateral Beauty is a slap-up turkey feast of a scale and extravagance rarely seen outside of the Hogwarts Christmas lunch. A new film from the director David Frankel. All right, Devil Wears Prada, Marley and Me. That's what. All right, I've never seen those films. Alan Lube wrote The Dilemma and Just Go With It. Again, never seen that. So actually, it's worse than Love, Time and Death. Aren't actually Love, Time and Death. They're 3 actors pretending to be Love, Time and Death. All right, yeah, we've already been through that. Yeah, but we at the end, of course, you don't know that, do you? Let's have a look. They want to crowbar him off the company board. More incredibly still, this programme of sustained psychological torment is presented as a heartwarming festive voyage of self-discovery. Well, I did actually think about that, and the Christmas Carol thing. I did think about the Christmas Carol link too, but I did wonder about the motives of the people, the 3 friends who were doing this to him, about how this is kind of about why they were doing this. Are they being kind to him, or are they being cruel? It's all very ambiguous. It's very kind of equivocal over the motives of the 3 friends, as I said. There's Helen Mirren's death, who doles out the following invaluable koan of spiritual wisdom. What else was here? The closest Collateral Beauty gets to recognisable human behaviour comes via Naomi Harris's grief support group leader. Herself also a victim of tragic bereavement. Right. Actually, the film goes on to squander her in spectacular style twice over. First having to explain the meaning of the title. Well, I sort of didn't quite get the title myself either, Collateral Beauty. And there's they're nitpicking now. Collateral Beauty's biggest mysteries go tantalisingly unsolved. How Will Smith got his bicycle back after leaving it in the middle of a busy New York intersection, for instance. And what on earth, the question, what does your why mean? It's and he says here, but roles like this and his joyless turn in Suicide Squad entail absolutely nothing he's good at. Oh, right. Well, obviously, I don't think that's quite fair. But it raises some interesting points. The critic does raise some of the points that I did about the ambiguous, the rather confusing nature of some of the ethics of the film. Right, let's move on to, oh my God, the Goridian. What are they going to say? Oh, I can just guess, can't I? They will hate a film like this. I mean, they will hate it anyway. I mean, they just hate anything fantasy or anything like spiritual. The Guardian hates it. And here, this is a film reviewer called David Schilling saying, "Here is everything that's wrong with Collateral Beauty, man." I'm trying to imitate the voices. I did the Daily Telegraph voice just now. This is the Guardian voice. Okay. Will Smith, aka the beloved box slugger, has scored one of 2016's biggest turkeys, man. We better get out the baster and try to figure out what went so wrong. Oh yeah. Will Smith's Collateral Beauty bombed really badly at the box office this weekend, man. But not just for its lack of star power. Smith, Edward Norton, Kate Winslet, Helen Mirren, Keira Knightley, Michael Pena and Naomi Harris all have significant roles in this overwrought drama. Big names might get the average moviegoer to consider your release, but there's other element that's necessary to ensure a financial or critical success. Your movie has to be good, man. And Collateral Beauty's not good. It's needlessly complicated. It treats its audience like it's dumber than a box full of unused Fox Network reality show pitches. That's not very witty. And it totally wastes Will Smith in a dull tearjerker that elicits absolutely zero tears. except the ones when you were shed when you realised you wasted your hard-earned money on Collateral Beauty. Oh, it's and it just goes on. How does it go on? Let's have a look. It's just a bit. This is just. I'm not going to read all this. It's not even a real fantasy film. Yeah, I know that was one of the things that I actually noticed. That it's not the I thought it was like the beings that they approached them, the death, love, and time were actually like supernatural elements. So it was like Christmas Carol, but of course it wasn't, and that didn't disappoint me though. I mean, that didn't. I don't know. I don't think that really disappoints me. So, I mean, and at the end, as I said, at the end of the film, there's this twist which makes you think that perhaps they are supernatural after all. And it goes on like this. I'm not going to read all this. Yeah. No, it's not. It's just he just goes on thinking this guy. Dave Schilling thinks he's being witty, and he keeps going on pretending to be witty. He says, a Chernobyl of toxic sentimentality. Will Smith stars in this horrifying curtsy in which bereavement is offset by soft-focused platitudes about wonder and compassion. I think that's unfair. I really do. I think that is unfair. Alright, let's have one more. I've been looking for a good one, a good review of this, and I can't find one. It really has been panned by the critics. Here we go. This is from Variety, and the reviewer is Owen Gleiberman. Will Smith plays an... I don't know, how do Variety people speak? I don't know. I'll just use my normal voice. Will Smith plays an advertising executive reeling from personal tragedy in a whimsical awards bait tearjerker that reduces grief to a form of sentimental engineering. It asks a lot for an audience to sit through a drama about a parent grieving over the loss of a child. The subject is rough, and beyond that, it has vast potential for programmed pathos and fake sentiment. It's a big, soppy, whimsical, lump-in-the-throat commercial version of a drama of parental grief. It feels like a Hollywood Awards movie from 30 years ago, laced with a kind of four hanky strategies: hugs, buckets of tears, new age greeting cards, sentiments, by the end of Collateral Beauty, you will have a heart of stone for the film not to get you a bit, but even if it does, you may still feel like you've been played. And it just goes on to describe the plot, and it goes on like that. So I can't find a good review of this movie. Oh no, here's one. It's from Herpanwo TV. Me myself, I'm going to give this film probably the only good review I can find of it, and I've already done that pretty much during the course of this little roving report, this little roving review. I'm glad I didn't read any of the reviews before I went to see it, because that would have biased me. And this ties in so much with what I was saying earlier in the film, earlier in this review, about critics, about how we should not let them tell us what to think. I don't think it was engineered sentimentality. I don't think it was anything like that at all. I think it had its real profound moments. It could have been better, yes. It could have been clearer in the way it was written, the way the characters, the motives of the characters could have been made a bit more distinct and a bit more sort of obvious. But I did think it was well written. The script was good, and despite what these critics said, the acting was good, especially Will Smith. I think this is one of his best performances ever. The fact that, I mean, he was going through a grieving process while he was shooting this himself for the loss of his father. And I think it had little touches which really made me think, and make a lot of other people think, especially if they've lost loved ones, and about death, and about what death means, about how we deal with the loss of a loved one. How does it affect us? How do we find comfort? How do we emerge from it? How do we pull ourselves out of it? And there's many different ways that people do that, which I've tried to explain my own grieving process in this film, and about how the film struck a chord with me. But basically, all I can say is I'm glad I went to see it. I think it was well acted, it was well written, it was an interesting idea, it had neat little touches. You could see that Howard is a very, very interesting character. The way he reads continuously. He reads books that I've read about spirituality, so he's exploring spirituality. That's made clear to the viewer. And I mean, I think this is the way the media is nowadays. We expect to be spoon-fed, don't we? We expect perfection. We expect to have the big teat of the entertainment media stuck in our gob, and for perfect milk to come out from that great maternal mind controller. Well, that's good. Movies don't always come like that. Sometimes you have to watch movies more than once. I watched the film Paul, the comedy with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. The first time I watched it, I thought it was useless, but it grew on me. But no one wants to. No film gets a second chance now. And the critics rule. The word of the critics is final. The way just reading the way these guys portray us, especially the Guardian one. I mean, it's about what I expect from the bloody Guardian. It's an absolute rag. I wouldn't wipe my bottom on the Guardian. You wipe more on than you wipe off. That's the problem. I mean, the arrogance of them is incredible. It's just like, this is not my opinion. This is the fact which I'm presenting to you, which you have to agree. Otherwise, do you dare defy me? So to hell with them. I hope you enjoyed this little review of the film. I hope you'll go and see it. And I hope, it may be out the cinema by the time you've seen this, but get the DVD of it and watch it and see what you think. So this is the Hapanwo TV review, the only good review I can find, of Collateral Beauty, starring Will Smith, Kate Winslet, and Helen Mirren, and directed by David Frankel, written by Alan Loeb. Thank you for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.